Hey everyone, this is Ryan, the homestead consultant out on Love Farm today, doing some work out here with drainage and moving water around the home. So one of the big things with a homestead is you want to make sure that your home is safe and protected. And the biggest way to do that is to address water issues. So you don't want water getting up by the home because it can destroy your home. It can encourage things like termites or other issues. It can destroy the home over time or very quickly, depending on whether it's just, say, water near the foundation that allows the home to settle over time, or water that allows for termites to get in, or significant amounts of water that flow towards the home can actually move it or wash it away. And we've seen that in certain circumstances with homes during flash floods being washed away. So we're doing everything we can here to mitigate that, because a lot of the water from the hill behind me actually drains to in front of on the other side of the camera here towards the home. And there were some old swales that were put in, probably 150-year-old swales that were put in to address that in a couple of places, and those have done a great job. But there are a few places where those have been either washed out or damaged, or had something go wrong with them. So that's what we're fixing today. And I wanted to show you some of those to give you ideas on your own property. If you want to move water around, what are some ways to do that? So this looks like quite a mess right now, but I'm going to explain how the water previously flowed and how it's flowing now. You can see a channel up there. There's water coming through that channel, and it would come down, and there was a flat spot right in here, a high spot, and the water would run over that through our comfrey growing area, across and over to here. And then there's a swale here, and then a swale that goes lengthwise down the property that way. So a lot of the water would make its way and go down past the smokehouse there. But some of it, especially when we had heavier rains, was making it over to here, where the swale that's there is either washed out, or the back side of it back here was filled in. And so water was flowing over this, around the root cellar, and to the house. So there's two ways we're dealing with that. One is to make sure that the water that was getting over that flat spot right up there is now channeled down here. And I've done that with very subtle swales, and I'll explain that a little more in a minute. And then two is to add an additional berm through here. This looks a little bit sloppy right now, but what'll happen is over time that will settle down, and I'll rake it out a bit as well, but that should settle down to be a fairly smooth surface. I'm going to put a erosion control straw blanket over the top. You can get those from a local farmer's co-op for about 40 bucks. And I'm also going to plant at this time of year, because we're going into winter, I'm going to plant winter rye grass, annual rye grass, to pop up through there to hold everything in place until the spring. So I'll also put regular grass seed in there to hold that all in place, to make sure that when we do get rains that come through, they continue on down instead of pushing this through, and also to make sure dogs don't dig that up. So hopefully that gives a brief understanding of what we're doing and how we're getting the water to move around the home and before it gets there. So we've got our main swale that moves most of it before it gets there, but we've still got up in here, we've still got some water that ends up going towards flowing this way and then towards the home. So we're going to address that by adding that berm that I just showed you a minute ago. But I'm going to flip back here and show you how subtle a swale can be, how it's still mowable, it's still usable, without causing major issues or impact on the usability of that land. So here's our main swale again, where I'm trying to capture the water, as it kind of comes down the hill to right in here, instead of letting it run over. Now it's coming this way. It's going to be difficult to see on video, but this is quite subtle. It slopes in from this side, and it slopes in from this side, very gradually, but the space that it covers, it spans all the way from there to there, which is probably about 15 feet. So I've got this very wide but very, very subtle swale through here, and I am putting a little bit of the soil on the other side there, but I'm going to make sure it's flat enough that we can still mow over it and run things over it. So we can actually still run chicken tractors through here. We can still mow this area. We could run sheep or other things through here if we wanted to. This is still a very usable area. And the other part about making it gradual is that instead of channeling all the water into one little space down the middle, which most swales do, they're deep and narrow, this is spread out so much that the water that's coming down won't get nearly as much momentum, and it will also hold a significant amount more water because you just think geometrically, because of that wider space that's much more subtle and much more usable. Now we also have a geometrically larger volume of water that can come down this. So that water is going to run down and along until it hits, this is hard to see, but right along here, there's that old 150-ish year old swale that was made to capture the water before it got to the home. So we're basically reinvigorating that, making it do what it's supposed to, and catching the water from further up to use it as well. So this is going to run most of the water that would otherwise be going towards the house off the property. And now we're only dealing with a smaller amount of water that collects on this hill because there's actually another drainage way back on the back side of the property. So basically we're dealing with a little bit of the neighbor's yard, and this hill is then going to come down here to where I showed you before, where we've got the new berm there that we're using. And there's a swale, you can kind of see it, that tree's sitting on it, on this whole back side. So all the water from there is now collecting in here and then pushing and continuing on down past the old chicken coop here. So that's going to continue this way and then off the property, so it goes around the home. There's also another spot down there where the swale has been. Actually, I think the dogs kind of dug it until there was a channel that was created. So we've got a spot or an area down there that needs to be patched as well. But that's what we're doing to address rain and water issues and potential flooding issues in the area. This is actually helping our root cellar a lot too, because this area right here, right where Jack's at, is where and right where that berm is, was where a lot of water was running down. And then we kind of get trapped right in there and then eventually run that way around the house. Now it's going to go this way, and our root cellar is there where you see I've piled more soil on. That root cellar was getting flooded, so we had to have a sump pump in there that would turn on anytime the cellar got flooded. Doing this should drastically reduce the amount of water that gets in there, and then that soil that's been added should help a lot as well, because we'll be able to smooth that off, put grass seed on it, and then when water falls on it, it'll just run off to either side. And because of that slope, we really shouldn't have any issue, or at least very little issue, with water in the root cellar anymore. Here's the front yard. There was some grading that was needed here. We actually had a high spot right across there, so we get water that would pool behind it and water that would pool up against the house. So this is actually slanted. It's tough to see on video, but it's slanted towards right there, and you've got a drain, a swale, where it slopes from both sides into the middle here and then runs down towards me. So that's going to keep water from getting up against the home here. It's going to keep water from piling up, and it's going to keep there from being big puddles throughout the yard there as well.
Blow up your TV, throw away your paper, move to the country, build you a home, plant a little garden, eat a lot of peaches, try to find Jesus on your own. We blew up a TV, threw away a paper, moved to the country,
I hope that gives you an idea of how to address water as far as how to run it away from your property. The thing that a lot of engineers and other people will do, kind of modern ways of dealing with water, are that they want to get them off the property as quickly as possible. That's not our goal here. Our goal in this case, we do want to move it. We're not slowing and soaking it like you would in a swale that you would typically think of in permaculture, where we're just trying to move it, but we don't want to move it at high rates of speed. And typically with engineering, there's a rate of speed at which the water's moved at that becomes an issue as well. And we're not trying to do that. We do want some of it to soak in. We will be planting grass seed, daikon radish, other things so that the water can actually soak in as it moves across the property. But we just want to make sure that it doesn't get to the house. So in closing, I want to say I'm hoping to do a video on swales, which are called on contour. Those are actually intended to hold water and soak it into the landscape. So slow it, soak it, and slow it, spread it, and soak it. These are slowing it and spreading it. There is some soaking, but it's not quite the same. It's a little bit of a different concept. So I'm hoping to cover the other concepts. So these are off contour swales, whereas I'm hoping to cover on contour swales soon here as well, because up in our orchard up there, I did some micro swales with a trencher a few years back when we planted that orchard, and they worked quite well for what we needed, but they had a couple of problems. One of them being that they could break an ankle quite easily, and they're very difficult to see. So I'm going to fill those in and create real swales up there, and hopefully explain that process to everybody here on YouTube and whatever other service you might watch this on. So thank you for watching. If I can help you in any way, or if you need anything as far as homesteading and have questions, thehomesteadconsultant.com. I've got more resources there, as well as contact information. I would love to help you. Thanks for watching.